What's up, guys? Vic, Cambodian Holiday. I only got one thing that you probably haven't seen, but I'm sorry. I'm a creature of habit. I've become so. You like my folder? It works. I've become so accustomed to sharing stuff with you guys that if I don't do it daily or every couple of days, I don't feel right. So I got to do something. So hold on a sec. I don't like every one of these, but a lot of people have been showing, of course, the main ones that everybody's going to get. But there's the little deal. I'm sure you've seen it. But I found this, and of course, my shitty camera doesn't do it justice. This thing in the sunlight is ridiculous. It's like a metal flake, like plum crazy purple. I am a fan of El Caminos. One of the castings I'm going to find, Lesney or Matchbox, either one. They had one that had dirt bikes in the back. It was like a 72 El Camino. And then they also had one that was jacked up in the back with a spare tire and all that, and like a brush guard on the front. But I've gotten a few of the Hot Wheels ones, and I hate the ones with the motors in the back. The only thing those are really good for is taking the motor out and making a gasser, but who's going to complain? Whatever, you know. But what I did is I just went through my collection, just some stuff I thought would be of interest, just so I can make a video. No other reason. Just to share shit with you guys. These things are pretty nuts. I've got two colors of it, and I'm not really a Mustang fan, except for 65 through 70, all the ones that have fastback roofs only. Bosses, fastbacks, Shelbys, Mach 1s, things of that nature. And my stepfather had one of these with a 394 speed in it. Super nasty, so I hold those in high regards, and it's a 68. Just a beautiful car. The only gripe I have with these M2 auto mods, they're supposed to be like a pro touring car or like a track kind of car. The front tires are too tall. Like my newest 55 Chevy M2, the wild car that I'm doing, the front tires are just way too tall for them. I guess if you like 18s and 20s on the front of them or whatever. I'm not really into all those big silly wheels, but enough about that. I'm sure Kyle will probably dig this. KP's Toys. It's 2012 Hot Wheels Electric. Pretty green color on there. Love these. Really dig that truck. Can't have enough of those. That was one of my first customs. I made one of those, and I put NASCAR wheels on it, and of course rusted it out. I even went as far as where the fuel filler nozzle is, to put a piece of thread in there so it looks like a shop rag hanging out of the gas tank. But we actually have a track up here, and occasionally when we're bored, we'll break out the track and race. And that thing actually did good with NASCAR tires on it. It's pretty quick, pretty trippy. And then I know some people that collect aren't really into 1/1 scale cars, which is okay, whatever, you know. But for us that are, you know certain things about certain muscle cars. And what was really cool was when the Buick Grand National came out. I don't really collect Fast and Furious stuff unless it's muscle. I'm not really into the JDM thing unless it's the 70s or whatever. But these things had a V6 in them, but they were just super fast, little turbo in them, and with slight modification, like if you put a computer chip in them to juice it up a little, those things were, I've seen them destroy vets, just like kill them. And now they're starting to really be a collector's item. Like, there's a guy at a local grocery store that we shop at with my family some Sundays, and he has a just mint, factory wheels, factory everything, And this dude parks like, I don't know, man, like a football field away from the Publix that he works at so that nobody else scuff it up. But I can't say I blame him. This thing's super sick. But if you don't know nothing about that, you should look it up on Wikipedia or Google it or whatever. Those things are super sick. It was like a 200 and something cubic inch motor, but they were super fast for what they were. It's just basically a Buick Regal, all black and badges on it and whatnot. See, I picked this out. I just had to comment on Rick Sick Diecast, I believe it was. We're showing some of these, and these things are pretty awesome. Up until this one, there was a couple renditions, like a Maisto one, which I'm not into Maistos anyway, but this is probably the best rock solid one so far. You could just do headlight and taillight tempos and call it a day, you know. Pretty cool truck. And there's something about this. I remember back when I was a kid, Matchbox made the old blue Firebirds that had the big hood scoops on them. They were kind of out of proportion or something. But being a Trans Am Firebird aficionado, this thing's on point. And I like the fact that it doesn't have a spoiler, even though I like them with a spoiler. Makes me think of an old ass episode of Chips when I was a little kid. Ponch had like a copper or brown colored Firebird, and he wound up flipping it. But it didn't have a spoiler on it either, and it looked like this body style. Showing my age there. Mike King, Antarius. And then a lot of people, not a big fan, but I showed you guys that I'd gotten the little trade Torino Stalker. This one I didn't see out a lot. I tried to buy just about all the cool classics. I thought they were really cool, and it sucks that they're eliminating it. But even with a torn package, it doesn't matter because I'm getting a little plastic deal, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to get rid of the flames and do something with this anyway. I might even try to make a modern version of the black wall that I showed you. Some Real Riders. And one of the things that Hot Wheels does that bugs the shit out of me is putting chrome interior in the cars. And I almost am so anal about it that I got to take that car apart and paint that interior. But either way, I'm still happy they got the car, whether it's got chrome or not. Sorry guys, when I first get to work I gotta have the coffee. These to me are two of the more impressive vehicles that Hot Wheels have came out with in a while, especially when they're metal on metal. I got two of each of these so that I can crack them, play with them, customize them, whatever. But if you haven't gotten any of these, just pick up the pack and like feel how solid and deluxe these things are. It'll make you want to have a bunch of them. They're really cool. You can do a lot of cool stuff with them. And I broke out these guys. These were, you guys have probably either through my YouTube or my Instagram seen the amount of movie retro cars I got. The reason I'm looking over there, that's where they're at. But I have a lot of them. And there's like 60 of them or so on my wall in my room here. But some I got extras because I just can't do without them. And one is not only because of the car, but because of the movie, because I'm a big horror buff. I think I've got 3 of these or 4 of these. And then I gave a couple away. My homies needed them. And I couldn't imagine somebody not having this if they collect retro cars. It's just super rad. You know, they had brought out the Camaro, Buddy Repperton, the Bullies Camaro, which is pretty sick too. But I only wound up getting 2 of those. I've got one open and I've got one on my wall. Wish I could have more. I was just saying heavy Chevys are one of my castings. It was heavy Chevys back in the day, or just Camaros now, like the Summit and all that. But I really do dig that casting a lot. And you know, there's not a lot of stuff that I buy multiples of other than like 55 Chevys and certain race cars and Novas, but certain ones you just gotta have a few of. And to me, the doo-doo car from Back to the Future, Biff's car, what's awesome about these is the doo-doo comes off and the car's sick. It's got red interior, but you can put the doo-doo on the Grease Lightning, the white car too, or you can just leave it off, doo-doo off of all of it. But really sick, nice casting. Represents a, doesn't say on here I don't think, but it represents a 46 to 48 Ford, which are all three very similar. I'm not a convertible fan so much, but that's a cool car. The hard tops of those real cars, we had one in the family for years that was actually black and red, but it was a hard top, and he had a Chevy 350 in it. Modernized it. It was pretty nice. Everything, the shell, the body, all that shit was vintage, of course, but excuse me, disc brakes all the way around. I mean, just like having a new car. And this thing, I think I did a trade for like a year ago. And I've only got 2 of these ever, and this one's still on the card, but pretty sick. Old flash cider. I'm a fan of anything with lettered tires. Product of the 80s, I guess, 70s and 80s. Love stuff that's got lettered tires. And then I know a lot of you guys talk about highway haulers all the time, and I've got an AC/DC. I got 2 of these. I don't know, maybe 4 total. But a lot of people, I never really hear anybody say too much about the old SpongeBob one. It's kind of cool. Kind of like the yellow wheels on it, but yeah, I only have like 4 of these. A lot of my friends have shitloads of them, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I just, like I say, I've only wound up with like 4 of them. And then I saved this for last. I got 2 of these. Hadn't seen them around much anymore, but I'm glad I got 2. So I got a cracked one. And this goes deeper than just what it is. It's Ricky Bobby's dad's Chevelle. And for you that don't know, the paint is modeled after Smokey Yunick, who is a legendary NASCAR driver. And there's from the, I want to say it's all from the Vintage Racing series, if I'm not mistaken. There's a 67 Camaro and there's a 66 Chevelle that are painted just like that. And they want an ass load on Evil Bay for the Chevelle. I know for sure. You can probably get the Camaro for a little less. But those are on my grail list. If you guys ever see anything that I could possibly trade you, chases, whatever, build you a custom, do whatever for those 2 castings, as long as they're in great shape. Doesn't even matter if they're in a pack or on the card, just as long as they're mint, because I'm going to open them anyway. And there's several of those Vintage Racing series from Hot Wheels that I want to get, because they're all based on when they just called it stock car racing or Grand National Racing, when they had those real bodied cars like straight from the dealership and juiced them up, put bigger motors in them, extra shocks, roll cage, and drove them. And some of them were 180, 200 miles per hour back then out of a factory car that was just slightly altered. So that is something I'm really, really, really into. And speaking of that, I showed y'all, I'm sorry guys, showed you guys where my buddy Bean had brought me some cars. Look how nice this is. This thing was in a old ratty ass pack that the plastic blister was all just tinted and brittle and funky, but I opened this thing up and set it free, and it's just beautiful, like unscathed. Really nice. And I like to find these kind of cars, these vintage ones like that, whenever it's a driver that I like. I mean, I'll take any one of them, but growing up, David Pearson was a big deal. And then I opened this, and this is pretty nice. Got the Hemi in there. And the only gripe I have with these cars is, one, they have exhaust tips. Those cars, the exhaust would have exited under the side of the doors, which I get it. It costs a lot to make a casting, like thousands of dollars, so they don't want to make a new casting. And it has like stock hubcaps on it. They would have had like either these Goodyears like that, or they would have had the at least just old steel generic wheel on them. But we're gonna fix that with Ollie's donor cars. But pretty sick. And that one, the Trino Cobra that I got from him, is just amazing. So simple yet so sick. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got. I couldn't go today without giving you guys something to talk about or to comment on or whatever. Let me know what you think. Peace.